I never thought my life would take such a turn. Marriage is built on trust, love, and respect. But what happens when that trust is shattered? My name is Olivia, and this is the story of how I discovered my husband's betrayal. When I married Liam, I thought I had found my happily ever after. He was caring, hard-working, and always had a way of making me laugh. We'd been together for 5 years, and I never doubted his loyalty. Liam worked as a project manager at a big company, and he often spoke about his team. He'd come home talking about meetings, deadlines, and his coworkers. One name came up more than the rest: Mia. At first, I didn't think much of it. Liam described Mia as his go-to team member, someone he trusted to get things done. "She's great at her job," he'd say, and I didn't feel the need to question it. After all, I trusted him completely. Looking back, there were subtle signs, but I ignored them. Liam started coming home late more often. He'd say things like, "We're behind on the project," or "I'm meeting a client after hours." At the time, I believed him. He'd always been dedicated to his work, so why would I suspect anything? There were moments, though, that made me pause. He'd suddenly smile at his phone while texting, then quickly put it away when I walked into the room. "Work stuff," he'd say when I asked. He also seemed more distant, less engaged during our conversations. But I convinced myself that it was just stress from work. One evening, Liam came home unusually late. He looked nervous, distracted, and avoided eye contact. As he headed to the shower, he left his phone on the kitchen counter. Normally, I wouldn't even think of checking it, but something felt off that night. I picked up his phone and saw a text notification from Mia. "I miss you already. Can't wait for tomorrow." My heart sank. My hands trembled as I stared at the screen. Could there be an innocent explanation? I wanted to believe there was, but deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The next day, I couldn't focus on anything. My mind kept replaying that text message. When Liam came home that evening, I decided to confront him. "Liam, who is Mia to you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked taken aback. "What do you mean?" "She's my coworker," he said, avoiding eye contact. "Then why is she texting you that she misses you?" I asked, showing him the message. His face turned pale. For a moment, he didn't say anything. Then, he sighed and sat down. "Olivia, I didn't want you to find out like this," he said quietly. My worst fears were confirmed. He admitted that he'd been seeing Mia for a few months. "It started as just work conversations," he explained, "but things got complicated." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The man I trusted with my whole heart had betrayed me. For days, I felt like I was living in a nightmare. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't stop replaying our moments together. Every memory felt tainted by his betrayal. Liam begged for my forgiveness. He said he'd end things with Mia and wanted to make our marriage work. But how could I move past what he'd done? I decided to talk to my best friend, Sarah. She listened patiently as I poured my heart out. "Olivia, you deserve someone who values you," she said. "Take your time to decide, but remember your worth." Her words stayed with me. I realized that forgiving Liam wasn't just about him. It was about what I could live with. Could I trust him again? Could I rebuild what he'd broken? In the end, I chose myself. I told Liam that I couldn't stay in a marriage where trust no longer existed. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made, but it was also the most empowering. I moved out of our home and started focusing on my own healing. It wasn't easy, but with time, I rediscovered my strength. I surrounded myself with friends and family who reminded me of my value. I started a new job, took up painting again, and even traveled to places I'd always dreamed of visiting. Liam's betrayal hurt deeply, but it also taught me an important lesson. I deserve to be loved fully and honestly. And until I find that, I'll keep building a life that makes me happy. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, your worth is not defined by someone else's actions. Stay strong and always value yourself. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more English stories. See you next time.